Welcome to Mulready Minutes with Oklahoma Insurance Commissioner Glenn Mulready. This is a podcast about insurance for insurance folks, risk managers, and business leaders. We'll dive deep and look at what is and isn't working, talk to leaders in the industry, and keep you informed on what's happening in Oklahoma and around the country.
Hey, welcome to another Mulready Minute podcast. Excited to bring a version to you today where we're actually digging into some legislation, meeting one of our legislators here from Oklahoma who's certainly a lead insurance guy who's taken some lead on a number of those things. We'll speak specifically today about a very specific piece of legislation that I'm personally excited about. I think will be have some great impact on the state of Oklahoma and for consumers here in Oklahoma. So with that, we have State Representative Mark Tedford with us, and then we also have Ashley Scott, who heads up our government affairs, legislative affairs, and community affairs. So we'll kind of do a little tag team here today. Mark, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me on.
And Ashley, okay. I will read Mark's bio just so I get that straight. I'm sorry, Representative Tedford's bio. I've known Mark a long time, so that's going to be hard throughout this. But in 2022, Representative Tedford was elected to represent House District 69, which includes Bixby, Jenks, and Tulsa in the Oklahoma House of Representatives. Representative Tedford serves on several House committees, including Common Education, Business and Commerce, and the best committee, the Insurance Committee, which he serves as vice chair. He lives in Tulsa County, received his MBA from the University of Tulsa, Golden Hurricanes, and has worked in the insurance business since 1992. Tedford's leadership has earned him awards and recognitions, specifically the Blue Ribbon Small Business Award. Currently serves as a member of the Board of Advisors at the Soldier's Wish Foundation and the Board of Advisors at Home Church. Previously served on the board, Tulsa Economic Development Council, Tulsa Chamber of Commerce, Small Business Connect, and the Jenks Chamber of Commerce. He and his wife, Kristen, have 4 children, Lauren, Landon, Lathan, and Lanning. I see a theme there. Welcome, Mark. Today, we're going to be talking about House Bill 3089. But before we get into that, let's talk a little bit more about you personally. We just heard about your family. I've known you from lots of Jenks connections, and a very, very well-respected business guy in the area where I live. So tell us a little bit about your agency. I know you've got agencies really throughout the state.
Sure. So. My dad started the agency in 78 in Tulsa. I was a former Wausau guy, direct writer. And so I joined in 92. And at that time, we had there was some consolidation in the industry right before I joined, and we had acquired a few agencies, and we kind of had a theme of Main Street locations and cities around or towns around mainly eastern Oklahoma. And then we opened up a organic Oklahoma City office, and then here recently started about 2 years ago, started an aggregator for our personal lines business. So we're actually have 2 locations for that business, which is branded Adaptation in Texas. So we have a Dallas and a San Antonio location there. We have 8 locations in Oklahoma. So,
wow, that's quite a footprint. And I will say, your main office in Jenks, beautiful building.
Thank you.
That you are in the midst of a major development on. So talk just for a second about that too.
Jenks had a program to revitalize Main Street. Our business is on Main Street, and so
in the middle of Main Street.
Yes, and so we decided to expand and renovate our building there, taking it from about 12,000 square feet to 30, and then having a couple of restaurants in there that we are leasing out. And so we moved it to a temporary location 18 months ago. We have a start move-in date as April 9th. So we'll start moving back in, and we're excited to get back on Main Street Jenks.
Like in a week?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just right there.
It's my anniversary. April 9th.
Okay, great.
Okay, Ashley, let's just jump over to you quickly.
Yeah.
Maybe just tell us, of course, I know what you do, but for those watching or listening, what your role is and sort of what your day-to-day is, certainly during legislative session.
Sure. So as the government affairs director, certainly working at the Capitol alongside all of the members, Representative Tedford has been a great co-worker in that sense with the department, and has been a true champion for all of our industry and the things that we're working and pushing forward. So it's been phenomenal to be able to work with him and others at the legislature. I handle a lot of the bills and regulations. So working through those processes at the Capitol and making sure that our bills are moving through the process, getting hearings in different committees on the House and Senate side, and just hoping to make those changes so that we can help consumers from the department perspective.
Good. Yeah. And I will, add an exclamation point to that too, that how helpful it is when we're trying to address some things to have someone of Mark's experience and knowledge who really understands the insurance industry and understands why we want to go a certain direction. It's just so helpful versus having to really educate someone who doesn't have that experience and knowledge, which is part of our role and your role too for other members. But it's nice having a lead person who has a really good understanding.
Thank you.
So, Strengthen Oklahoma Homes Act. Mark, tell us a little bit about what that does, what that bill does, 3089,
Sure.
that you're trying to usher through.
I'll probably start just to talk about the insurance environment in Oklahoma. Currently, insurance.com rated us as having the highest homeowner insurance rates in the country. And that's really not where you want to be. I look at even insurance rates as a business development thing for the state, is the fact that you have our cost that impacts our cost of living. You have lower home costs in the state, but then are we giving some of that cost of living back from our insurance rates? And so it's something we needed to deal with. And so the Strengthen Our Homes Act is a program that I think will have a long-term impact on the cost of insurance rates in the state. The act sets up a revolving fund so that the insurance department could give grants for people to retrofit or build new with weather-resistant materials. And so the idea is there's materials out there that will, roof systems that will withstand winds of 130 mile an hour and shingles that will, withstand like golf ball size hail. And so, if we can, as a state, have materials that will withstand the weather that we experience here, then I think it'll have an impact on all homeowner insurance rates moving forward. So I think it's a good program, and I'm excited about the bill.
Yeah, good. I know when I've been out speaking publicly about it, I like to joke that I've double checked and double checked again and figured out that I can't do anything about the weather, but right. We can help with the homes, right? So, Ashley, what about the creation of that? Where'd that come from?
Yeah, so there was a program that the state of Alabama actually initiated first and foremost. I want to say the legislation actually went into effect around 2011 or 12, and then they gave out their first grants in like 2018. And so they've had some really great success from that. The National Association of Insurance Commissioners, so the NAIC, has been a big proponent of pushing this legislation as well through different states. And there's about 7 that currently have a program that gives out grants. And then I know too that the National Council of Insurance Legislators, NCOIL, is planning on doing a model law as well this year to push at the legislative level through those insurance legislators. So it's becoming a bigger topic and being definitely talked about across the nation and helping homeowners reduce premiums with their homeowners insurance when we have such a hard market right now. So excited about moving that forward, hopefully, and getting that for our consumers in Oklahoma.
Yeah. And you just brought it up. So let me talk a little bit about that just for a split second on NCOIL, National Council of Insurance Legislators. Some people might be surprised to learn that there is such an organization, but it is basically made up of state legislators from around the country who really specialize in insurance issues. And so they meet a few times a year. I've been part of that organization as a legislator and now certainly as an insurance commissioner, but mainly working on some model legislation. And as Ashley just mentioned, in fact, I think in a week or two when we're at that meeting, they will be bringing forward the model act for the Strengthen Homes Act. I'm not sure exactly what they're calling that, but really modeled after the same bill really that we are running, which was 100% modeled after the Alabama bill. So got it. So the goal of the program, Mark, ultimately, what's the end goal?
The end goal is to encourage homeowners to be using these better materials the goal is to have homeowners in Oklahoma have fortified homes that will withstand the weather that we have here. We do get our share of hail and wind here. Yeah, we do. And I talked to some roofing contractors this last week, and I asked them, I said, are homeowners voluntarily using these materials? Are they aware of the materials? Are they using them? And they said most homeowners just want the cheapest materials. They're just not thinking in terms of, hey, I might have a storm and I want a roof that can withstand it. And so I think there's some education that probably should go along it too. But I think if the grant program is available, that you'll see roofers that will push it and say, hey, did you know you could get this grant? By the way, even in Oklahoma, there's areas that are more prone to wind and hail than other places. And I think the roofing industry will push it some. The goal is to have homes that are constructed to face the weather that we have here. And I think this program will be a good start to get down the road. Right now, we're not thinking in those terms, and I think there needs to be something to kind of kickstart the process. I think.
Representative, I think that's a great point, and that is, do people even know that it exists, or to ask about it, or hey, what's the cost difference for me to upgrade to a Class 4 shingle? Or they don't know to do that, and I think hopefully this legislation will create an additional population of advocates of those roofers to say, hey, that's going to cost an extra $3,000-$5,000, but did you know these grants are available? But I mean, that will be great from an educational standpoint. I think arming them. So Ashley, let's go to some of the practical parts of that program, since we're talking about how will that work. So I'm going to make some renovations. I'm going to redo my roof. How will that work from a practical standpoint for an Oklahoma consumer?
Sure. So the insurance department will host that program, and we'll have an application that you can apply to. There will be some different income level tiers set up throughout that application process, and we are going to focus on low priority or low income as a priority, and then also highly susceptible areas like Representative Tedford mentioned. If there's areas that we're seeing continuous, events and weather events that are impacting those families and homes, then we want to make sure that we can address those specific areas that are getting those storms continuously. In addition to that, we would then have certified contractors and certified evaluators. So once those grant applications are chosen, they're going to be first come, first serve basis with those different processes set in place that we just discussed. And then once they are approved for the application, they will have an evaluator come out and look at their home and figure out what kind of changes need to happen to address and to make sure that the fortification is done properly with the home that they have in existence. And then, or if it's new construction, then they would have a process separate from that on building that home up from from the ground up and or just the roof system, however the family chooses to move forward with that. But we would then have the certified contractors come out. We'll have lists on our website of who is a certified evaluator and a certified contractor, so that you're sure that you're using the appropriate individuals. And then that work will get done. We have a 6-month time frame. We know with supply and demand, sometimes things aren't coming and going as quickly as we, maybe used to have them coming and going as far as supplies and being able to get the work done. So we did extend that from the original 3 months to a 6-month time frame. Once that work's completed, the evaluator comes back out, does a review of it, make sure everything's in place appropriately. You get a certification, and then you provide that to your insurance company for the homeowner's discount if they offer those discounts. And so that's really the process. Payments would actually go straight to the contractor in that instance to help pay down that bill that was owed.
Got it. And so I think a couple times here we've mentioned IBHS.
Yes.
Some folks may be unfamiliar with that. I'll just touch on that for a second. Probably everyone may be familiar with the organization out in South Carolina who, and what you will know about them is, I don't know, once every year, once every few years, you may see on national TV where this organization builds a small home and then cranks up some huge fans and blows it away, right, to determine what type of materials and how to do that. So that's who IBHS is. They have established bronze, silver, gold, different standards. And they have evaluators, which is a great check, which I'm sure, Mark, in your world with your colleagues, there's questions about that. Well, what are the controls in place? Are we just handing out money?
How do we really know that this home is fortified or not? Yeah.
Right. So we're using their standards. Roofers will be certified by IBHS certification. They'll have to go online and spend a few hours on there to get certified. But then those evaluators are the ones that will come in and confirm that the work is done properly to those standards. And that then will release funds to pay for that, basically for that upgrade of the roof, right? You mentioned they just want the cheapest. what this does is allows us to put some money back in Oklahomans' hands to take care of that upgrade. And there's additional benefits to that to a homeowner. Mark, maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Right. Ashley touched on it a little bit that there's many companies that have agreed to have discounts on rates if your home is fortified and certified as fortified. But think of it this way. In the state, we've seen over the last 5-10 years, an escalation of wind hail deductibles. Most homes have a percentage wind hail deductible, maybe 1 or 2%. So the homeowner, it does not have like a $500 deductible like they used to have. So the idea of the carriers, they want the homeowner to have some skin in the game for these claims. Well, if you have a better roof, then you're likely to not have a claim at all and not have to pay that deductible. So that's what I think people need to be thinking there, is that you want to have a roof that can withstand these storms, because then you don't have to pay that deductible. I think that's a benefit that maybe nobody's thinking about, but the direct impact of the credit everyone understands. But maybe people haven't thought about the impact of maybe not having to pay that deductible. And then I think just as a state in general, if we have better materials as a state, then I think it'll cause rates to go down as a state, which is, I hope, what will happen over the long term. And I think some of the other states that have used this have seen rates go down over time.
Yeah. And Mark, I think you've covered that and bifurcated that very well. Like, the immediate thing that a homeowner is going to think of is, oh, I get a 25% discount on my homeowner's rate. That's the immediate piece. The other, longer term is, you may not have to pay out a $3,000 deductible due to a claim. But then the longer term is, hopefully we kind of clamp down on the overall claims and what then results in increased rates.
Right.
So, okay. I guess as we close out, anything else that we've missed? Anything else we want to mention about this?
I'll comment about, I'm talking to the roofers. I was really impressed that the roofing community knows about the fortified roof program. They understand, they know that it's out there, and it's not just the materials too. When the roofers get certified, it's how you apply the nails, how you handle the seams, how you tie, how the joist tie into and that goes down to the foundation.
Much bigger picture
too. Yeah, much bigger picture than just you're putting some heavier shingles on, or that type of thing. That it is a pretty sophisticated system, and the IBHS has been doing this for a long time, and I think it's got to kind of figured out how to really set up a home to where it can withstand these storms. So I just was, in talking to the roofing community, impressed that they're aware of it in the first place, because it really hasn't been here in a big way up to this bill, but they are. And then again, I think there's more to the process than just the better materials. And so I'm excited about the program, and I hope that it catches on.
Good. Ashley, anything?
I just, we're working through the Senate processes right now. It has passed the House. And so we're on the Senate side. It passed the Retirement Insurance Committee on Tuesday. So we're excited about next steps and hopefully getting this through so we can help consumers in Oklahoma.
Get that onto the governor for signature. I might just add in closing too that my good friend Mark Fowler, Alabama Insurance Commissioner, he's been really helpful they were just ahead of us by a number of years in this program. They've had a very successful program, and so appreciate his help. But I think we've touched on all the details there. Oh, I know one other thing I might just add, speaking of the legislative process. Interestingly, Mark, when we talk to legislators about this, the first question I get asked is, how much money do you need? Right. And our response is, we don't need money. We just need permission. There's money there. We're just going to, the goal is to take up to 50% of leftover funds. It's capped. There's not an unlimited amount there, but let's get that in hands.
I think there was actually some confusion within the Appropriations Committee of why there wasn't a request that came with it. And it's like they didn't understand how could there be no ask for state funds for this. And so I think that was, I think in both houses, they really looked at the appropriation chairs, looked at it, and how could there be no request for appropriation? So yeah, it does not cost the state money in any way. So
yeah, we just need permission. Okay. Hey, thank you both for joining us today. And that'll wrap up this Mulready Minute as we're talking about House Bill 3089 that's working its way through the process here in Oklahoma in strengthening Oklahoma homes, hopefully getting some funds into folks' hands so they can fortify their homes and be more weather resistant. So thanks for joining us.
If you found this episode informative, please subscribe and share with your colleagues. Visit oid.ok.gov/podcast. Let us know what topics you would like to hear about on this podcast. Until next time, take care from the Oklahoma Insurance Department.